The next on our list of interviews from the 24-hour live stream for Isla and the Bradley Larry Foundation is Kev from Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole. He was actually incredibly kind that day because he was out busy working at an event, going to an event, and he ducked out and got in a car specifically to appear on our stream and help us out and do his bit for the cause, which is also incredibly nice. And on top of that, he donated an incredible one-of-a-kind prize. I was genuinely shocked when I got told this was happening. So have a watch. I thought it was a great interview. And then obviously stick around till the end because we've been uploading all of the interviews from the 24-hour live stream. There'll be a link on the screen at the end, so make sure on the end, click on it, get involved, subscribe to the Hammers Chat Forum channel if you haven't already to make sure you don't miss any of the other ones, and enjoy.
Kev, how you doing?
Hello, Joe. How are you doing, mate? All
yeah,
good?
I'm not too bad. Are you good?
I'm very good, mate, yeah. The weather's lovely, can't complain. The kits look great, so, you know.
First of all, let's just... You're donating something very special to the raffle today. Would you like to tell everybody what you're donating?
Yeah, so basically I'm going to donate my 1986 retro shirt that's signed by 9 players. So you've got Frank McAvan on there, got Mark Wald, Alvin Martin, Ray Stewart, George Perris, Alan Dickens, Alan Devonshire. The only 3 that aren't on there is Phil Parkes, Tony Cotty and Jeff Pike. So the rest of the first team is on there. Billy Bonds as well is on there as well.
Kev, thank you very much. An absolute fantastic prize to donate to the raffle. I really appreciate that. The fund's sitting at just under £2,700 at the minute. So hopefully we can get to the £3,000. That's a fantastic prize. Baz has donated a Mark Noble armband as well. That's 2 prizes that money can't buy, really. Yeah, I mean, I challenge you to go find those 2 things out there on the internet, and it's not going to cost you an arm and leg. It could be yours for just a £5. It's £5 per raffle entry. So the link is in the description. Get donated. But Kevin, I want to talk to you a little bit about what you do in West Ham social media. I've been doing with all the guests because, you know, when you did your podcast, as I said to the other ones, you get the same questions every week. You know, will we start Mark Noble next season? Yeah, right, okay, come on. So I thought, you know, let's get to know the people a bit more. How did you? We got Dave's sort of version of Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole last night, but I want to know your version of how Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole came about.
Yeah, well, initially it was Dave's idea. So obviously it's well documented on other things that he's done, how it all started. I think he got into some form of disagreement with someone on Facebook, and that's how it all started, really. So he basically created a group. He then came to me and said, you know, Kev, I won't go to anyone else. We've known each other a long time. You know, just fancy giving this a go, see how it goes. And that's basically how it happened. And we come up with the name Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole. But to begin with, one of Dave's ideas was Marco Booga stole my caravan. That was one of the initial names that he came up with. I was like, it's funny, but I don't think it would have much longevity, so to speak. So Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole was the name we came up with. And we then turned that into a page, which you can later turn that into a business if you know about Facebook. And we then approached Julian Dix and decided to do our first interview, and it just really took off from there, to be honest. It just went from strength to strength.
How did you get those, your guests for your video interviews? I am assuming everybody watching this has watched them because they're sort of, if you type in sort of West Ham interview on YouTube, they're quite prominent. They're near the top and stuff. So assuming people have watched them, they know the guests you've had on, like Bobby Zamora and that as well. How did you get them? Because even this day and age, it's quite difficult in some extents to get them.
Well, Julian Dix at the time, he was the manager of the ladies' team, and we chose him first because we used to worship him when we were younger. Like as kids, me and Dave, we always used to argue in the playground, like who's going to be Julian Dix, and you know when we used to play Wembley and things like that. But I wouldn't say he was difficult to approach because he was on Twitter at the time. And on his profile was his email, like for inquiries and stuff like that. So I basically sent him an email and said, look, you know, we're new to this. We really want to do an interview. Are you up for it? And he basically said, you know, I'll do it on one condition if you promote the ladies' side. And this is obviously before the club officially took over the ladies' team. So that's basically what happened. So we went down to Waverley FC when they played at the old place. It was an absolute dive, by the way. So it was quite difficult to sort of find somewhere perfect to do the interview, but it worked out perfectly in the end. So we done Julian Dix, and from there onwards, we was like, do you know what? This is what we're meant to do. And it just went from strength to strength. The second one was Colton Leach, which Dave sorted out, which is a very good one. But again, we took a different direction with that because it wasn't so much, you know, player interview, so to speak. It was from the fans' perspective. And our third one was, of course, Bobby Zamora. Luckily enough for me, I'm pretty good friends with someone who used to play for Manchester City that later went to QPR. So he sorted that out, and we went to the training ground to do that, which was an experience to go to the QPR training ground to do that, to be fair.
Yeah,
that was quite funny, yeah.
That's my favourite one, I think. Your Bobby Zamora one. I don't know. There's something about, maybe it's because you sort of like, when I was a kid, that was sort of like one of my heroes, if you like. And a Bobby Zamora interview is quite rare, actually. I'd be surprised if you could find another one out there. Certainly West Ham content with Bobby Zamora. Because I know X has tried to get him for a West Ham Way event, and he's not the most contactable person anymore. So that footage is quite obscure, really. I mean, it's a bit of a coup, I think, together. Maybe not at the time it wasn't, but looking back now, I think actually it's probably worth. Do you have a favourite video that you've done? Not your newest one, though.
Well, we've done so many. I mean, Dave and I had done 9 together. So I'd say I really like the Alvin Martin one, because there's 20 years of history in 1 hour. You know, he's an FA Cup winner. You know, he played in the 86 team, and, you know, he came through the youth system. So the Alvin Martin one, I'd say from a fan's perspective, to watch a West Ham legend, I'd say that was one of my favourite ones, to, you know, do it with a player. But obviously my personal favourite one is the latest one that I've done with Bill Gardner. Yeah,
I'll get on to that one. I'm trying to go through like a timeline of Kev's social media life, if you like. You then got involved in the West Ham Ways podcast. How did that come about from your eyes?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I really enjoyed doing that with the lads. Again, it was, you know, I've known Dave most of my life, so it was, you know, it was a privilege and a pleasure to share that with him. You know, just talking about West Ham. It was basically like, you know, just 3 mates sitting in a pub in front of microphones with hundreds, thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of people, like, listening to what we've got to say. And, you know, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed doing that, because it wasn't so enjoyable for the first time we've done it, like the first season, because that was, you know, when we made the move over to the Olympic Stadium, and it was very negative. So it was quite draining doing it that season. But other than that, yeah, I really did enjoy it. Yeah, it was a really good experience to do that.
But you've stepped away from it now.
I have, yeah. I stepped away from it. So, so basically, what happened now? I haven't really documented this in full. So we had different ideas moving forward. Obviously, you know, the 2 guys do the West Ham Way pre-match events, which I've got no involvement in. People think I do, but I don't. It's purely Dave and X that do that. And obviously, you know, the radio show really, really took off. So, like, to a place we never thought it could ever go, to be honest with you. But my job, I work all over London and Essex, predominantly West London. And there were times where I missed quite a lot of shows because I just couldn't make it in time, to be honest. And obviously Dave and I ran Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole, and the workload just became quite a lot, if you want to put it that way. You know what I mean? So obviously Dave was concentrating on the pre-match events, which is, you know, perfectly fine. Obviously we had the radio show as well, when I really wanted to take Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole in a different direction. So we had different ideas moving forward, and we basically come to a collective agreement that I'd step down from the show and carry on Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole on my own.
Did Sex, Drugs, Carlton Cole get sort of put on the back burner while the West Ham Way was sort of growing, if you like? Because I was saying to Dave last night, I'm not on Facebook, so the only interaction I have with Sex, Drugs, Carlton Cole is Twitter, which there wasn't much content, and your videos, which you didn't do. So I was sort of, to me, Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole was sort of under the umbrella of the West Ham Way, if you like. So in your opinion, did that sort of take a back seat?
I wouldn't say it took a back seat. I mean, I think we interviewed all the players and all the personalities that we wanted to. And moving forward from there, it was very difficult to try and sort of find something different to do. I mean, I always had the idea of doing Bill Gardner, but he was very, very hard to reach back then. Then obviously the radio show came up, so we really concentrated on pushing that. Obviously the boys had the West Ham Way pre-match events, which they work tirelessly hard at doing. So I take my hat off to them too for that. And to be honest with you, I think we really just sort of concentrated on the radio show, and the guys concentrated on doing the pre-match event. So if you like, I wouldn't say Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole was neglected, but if you want to put it that way, it did take a little bit of a back seat, yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to spin plates. I mean, one thing that we've got here It's just myself and Gonzo, and we've got loads of help from loads of different people. We've also got the YouTube, we've got the forum, etc. We've got our boats and stuff. It is difficult. It's very difficult to spin all the plates.
It is difficult.
One plate does stop spinning because you've taken your eye off it a little bit, and you think, you've got to get that plate going again. And usually it means something else is falling down behind you. It's very, very difficult. So I can completely understand and sympathise with why it is difficult to sort of do what you guys do. I mean, in all honesty, it's slightly easier for us because our videos are done in our house with a webcam. So I could technically start a video at 7 o'clock. I could sit down here 1 minute to 7 and be off by 20 past 7, and there's a 20-minute video done. Whereas you guys were doing a podcast, you were having to travel to the studio, doing our recording. And as we all know, I mean, me and Gonzo are guilty of it, me, Charlie, Tom, etc. When we do a video, there's always half an hour after the video. We just sit and chat normally, casually as friends. And you usually have done the same. So it takes up an evening, at least for you guys. It's shorter for me. What's your new vision for Sex, Drugs, Carlton Cole? You've obviously relaunched it pretty good with that video.
Yeah, well, so basically moving forward, I mean, I was always keen on carry on doing interviews and, you know, documentaries, so to speak. But moving forward, I really want to take the route of making things look more like documentaries. So with the Bill Gardner one, if you've watched our old ones, you will see that there's different techniques that have been used. Obviously, it's more about the person's life as opposed to their playing career. I mean, there is a player coming up. He's a massive West Ham legend that has been verbally agreed, but it's whether we can get that over the line at the moment. That might prove to be a little bit difficult. But I do have a lot of ideas to move forward with Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole, making documentaries. And there is one that I'm in sort of talks with at the moment that is going to be completely different to what Dave and I have done before and what I've done with the Bill Gardner one as well. So I'm not going to say too much on that yet in case that doesn't come off. But that is going to be completely different to what we've done before. And that will take months to make as opposed to just like one afternoon sitting with the person. So...
Yeah, I mean, one thing. It was actually Ryan Archer that said it last night. Ryan Archer said his heart wasn't in West Ham Fan TV at some point last season. He sort of the fire went out a little bit. Did that happen with you? Have you got? It almost feels for me as an outsider, it feels like there's almost a Kev with a new fire in his heart with a new project, etc., etc.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I wouldn't say that my heart wasn't in it. It's doing what we do, it can become quite wearing. And, you know, obviously there was an incident that happened in February. And, you know, I just kind of went under the radar a little bit. I needed a break from it all, to be honest. And during that break, obviously, that's how I come up with the ideas of doing the Bill Gardner and moving forward with Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole, completely rebranding it, changing the logo, you know, giving it a complete new look. So it's basically like a fresh start for Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole and for myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So a bit like when West Ham left the Bowling, you know, we moved to this new stadium and everything looked different. We had a new badge and, you know, there's new ideas and stuff like that. It's pretty similar to that, but obviously nowhere near as big. But as I say, it can become wearing, particularly the radio show for me personally, because, you know, we'd put in a dire performance at the weekend and obviously you go and watch it, then you moan after the game with your mates having a beer, then 3 days later you've got to talk about it again. So it was like an ongoing sort of cycle, you know. So by the time you've calmed down from the weekend, you're talking about it again on a Wednesday. And, you know, people listen to the show when I was on it, as you know, I never used to sit on the fence. I just used to shoot from the hip. So, yeah, it did become a bit wearing. So the break was needed, I suppose.
Well, apart from you've mentioned a couple of people that you're in contact with for videos, is there any other plans you've got for the rebrand of Sex, Drugs, Carlton Cole?
Yeah, so basically it's going to be sort of running the same sort of format as Dave and myself used to run it. I said, you know, it would be relaunched in the new season, which it has been. Obviously, I've opened an online store. The documentary with Bill Gardner has just come out. But I was pretty much going to have most of the summer off, you know, do the odd post here and there and keep people up to date with what's going on. Because I'm going to America this month as well. So, you know, I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks then. But when the season starts, you know, I'm going to open new features, hopefully do a lot more sort of video stuff. You know, I want to collaborate with most of the other West Ham accounts like yourselves and West Ham Fan TV. You know, we're speaking about doing a few things with each other. So, yeah, I really want to sort of put Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole back on the map, but with the rest of the accounts as well. So we're all like one big army, so to speak, Gio.
Well, you know, fine, you can count us in anyway. Yeah. Like yourself and so Dave, West Ham Fan TV, etc. You already know our answer. You don't even have to ask the question, to be honest with you. We can do it. We will do it. It's just as simple as that, really. It's sort of, do you think there is sort of a perception in the fan base that I always find people think we don't get on? I always think people think we're rivals and such, and I've never really understood it because I've always thought like we self-promote each other. We collaborate as and when we need to or we wish to, etc. And I've never understood it. Do you feel that there's people that see us as rivals to each other?
Look, let's not beat around the bush. There are accounts out there that say things, obviously, because you hear stuff. So there are certain, West Ham social media accounts out there that I wouldn't particularly call it jealousy, but there are some underlying problems that some of them have had with us in the past that we've never really understood it. We're like, well, why? Like, what have we done or what haven't we done, so to speak? But with yourselves, I've always got on with you guys, West Ham Fan TV, Ryan and Nicky, I get on really well with them. I haven't really had much to do with Knees Up Mother Brown or, Claret and Hugh or people like that, so I can't really speak on their behalf. But, everyone else that I've dealt with in this West Ham world, in this little West Ham community of social media, I get on well with all of them. And I would like to work with most of them, to be honest. So, but I do get what you're saying. I think there is an element of competition there, but a lot of them don't want to admit that. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I've never completely understood it because when I basically did this stream, if you like, and I said who was coming on, someone messaged me, said, "Oh, you've done fantastic to get all them guests involved."
Incredible.
But this is where I was like, I'm not. I was like, what do you mean? He says, "Oh, you've got all these rivals together." I was like, I've never once seen them as rivals, though. Like, I've never. At the end of the day, the podcast, when I watched your Bill Gardner video, West Ham Fan TV, that's sort of my West Ham media. Just because I do these videos doesn't mean I don't watch other people's stuff. I need something to watch as well, if that makes sense. So I never understood it, and I just thought, like, all I had to do was send everybody a message, and everybody I asked said yes. Like, it wasn't like, I don't really want to collaborate with you. There was none of that. So I don't know. I just find it a bit confusing. And I just thought I'd ask you, because you took like a sabbatical from social media a couple of months ago, if you like. You took a break from it all and stuff. And funny enough, the only one gone just taking one. Ryan Archer took one as well. And it's sort of like everybody's taking one at the same time. It's just like, the hell with social media. I'm out of here for a little bit. But what made you need to take a break, if you like?
Like I said, I think, when I stepped away from the radio show, I did really enjoy doing that. So it was tough to do that. It was tough to sort of step away because obviously, I weren't going to see, Dave and X every week again. And obviously because we do the radio show, then we sort of hang around afterwards, after the radio show and have a laugh or whatever. So, there was that element. You still there, mate?
Yeah, we're still there. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I just had a phone call come through. Sorry, mate. I've had to cancel it. So there was that element as well, was missing that as well. But like I said, I think I just needed that break from it to sort of conjure up some ideas to take Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole forward with a clear head, because it was quite negative at that stage of the season as well for a lot of reasons. So I just thought, come away from it for a little while, clear your head a bit, move on with Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole, and that was basically it, mate.
Well, it'll be interesting to get your perception on this. Yesterday, West Ham announced the signing of Roberto, the goalkeeper, 30-year-old goalkeeper, etc. None of the in the knows knew about it. Is that refreshing for you to see? I mean, you're sort of in a unique position where you're really good friends with the most prominent in the know in West Ham.
Yeah.
But he was sort of like caught off guard. His holiday is part of that reason, of course. But what do you make of West Ham being able to keep it secret? Was that a surprise to you that West Ham were able to keep it secret?
I think I was more surprised that, I say I was surprised that X didn't know about it, obviously, because he is the number one go-to for transfers and stuff like that. But I think I was more surprised at the fact that people were attacking X for it. I mean, at the end of the day, the guy's he's on holiday with his family, He doesn't live on social media. He's got a lovely family. He's in a different country. And I think I was more surprised at the abuse that he was getting, although I am slightly wandering off topic here. But, I've always said, what happened to the days of when you used to look at the back of a paper and the player was holding up the shirt and the scarf and you knew nothing about it. So to be honest, I did like that about it, that obviously it comes as a surprise to everyone because, for once the club have done something right by keeping it, sort of under wraps, so to speak, when it comes to transfers. So, I mean, I don't know anything about this player. I don't know anything about him whatsoever, but I trust Husilius and I trust Pellegrini. So, you know, I think it's a good signing.
Fantastic. Well, if there's anyone in the live chat with questions for Kev, put them in there and I'll get your sensible questions asked to him. Thomas Longergan says, who would you like to interview the most?
Oh, Billy Bonds. 100%. Yeah, Billy Bonds. Yeah.
Apart from him, I knew you were going to say him. Your second choice, please. And don't say can you.
Well, it's a difficult one, really. Does it have to be a player or can it be
anyone?
Anyone. I don't know, really. Put me on the spot with that question. It's a very good question. I mean, I've always said I really want to do Billy Bonds because for me, he is, you know, obviously apart from Bobby Moore, who's obviously no longer with us, he is Mr. West Ham for me. Billy Bonds. But I don't know. It's quite a difficult question, to be honest. So I will stick with Billy Bonds for now, I think.
Is there anyone non-West Ham you'd like to interview?
Non-West Ham? Oh, God. Again, that's a good question. That non-West Ham who I'd like to interview. It'd probably be a politician, to be honest.
Would it?
Yeah, it'd probably be a politician. Yeah. Quite a controversial one as well. It'd probably be a politician.
Do you have an interest in all that sort of stuff?
I do, yeah. Believe it or not. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I'm covered in tattoos and I've got a Cockney accent, but yeah, I'm quite into politics. Yeah, so it'd probably be a politician, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that answer.
Yeah.
She's been asking everyone this, so I apologise for this. Cottage pie or shepherd's pie?
The cottage pie or shepherd's pie?
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be shepherd's pie, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's got to be shepherd's pie. Yeah.
Shepherd's pie. It's shepherd's pie are leading by a mile here.
Yeah, it's got to be shepherd's pie with roast potatoes covered in goose fat. So, you know.
Flump9 TV Katie says, Kev, will you get involved in football predictions for Isla this season? Gio and Gonzo are up for it, raising money for Isla.
Yeah, of course. Of course I am. Yeah, of course I'm up for that. Anything for a little while. That's why we're doing this. So, yeah, of course.
See if you could interview an ex-manager of West Ham. Which one would it be?
Say it again, sorry, mate.
If you could interview an ex-manager of West Ham United, which one would you pick? You only allowed to ask questions about their managerial time at West Ham. So if it's Redknapp, for example, you're not allowed to include the player part. It's got to be manager stint only.
I would say I would like to interview Alan Pardew. I'd like to interview him because you know he gave us some fantastic years when he was at West Ham. But again, I like to take the controversial route. So you know, because although it's fun interviewing these players and hearing about their career, you know, there's only so many times you can do that, including managers. But I would like to do Redknapp because he gave me my best years watching West Ham. I don't know. I'd probably say Glenn Roeder, to be honest. Glenn Roeder, yeah, because obviously we went down with Glenn Roeder with that team. So I'd like to hear what he's got to say about that season. I'd say Glenn Roeder, yeah.
The thing is, I think nearly all of our ex-managers have got there's a decent set of questions you can ask them all, and usually
of course,
negative. Why did this happen? And why did you do that? Why did you sell this player, etc. But yeah, I think ex-managers would really be a good thing to do and stuff. You know, I was trying to get one with Slav. As soon as you left, I was trying to get one with Slav. I really wanted to get Slav on. I think it's because I was quite a big fan of Slav and I sort of defended him a lot. And you know what it's like when you do a podcast, so you sort of stick to your guns and you're quite stubborn. You get a lot of stick for it, whatever it is. And, you know, I remember liking Bilic and everybody was turning on Bilic. And, you know, when we did the videos after defeats and stuff, I'd get one comment. The next week I'd get 5 comments. The week after it'd be like 10 comments. It would all be about me liking Slav. And I'd almost just... I think I would love to sit down with Slav and just chat.
I really like Bilic. I really, really liked him, but I think, you know, unfortunately for him in the end, I think it, you know, I mean, look, we all hear things behind the scenes, don't we? But I think in the end for him, I do think he kind of lost it a bit. And obviously, you know, his sacking turned out to be the best choice for the football club in the long run. But you know, I totally get what you're saying, mate, because I was a big fan of Allardyce. I was a big fan of Sam Allardyce. He didn't play the best football. We all know that, but it was hard to do a job. And, you know, the bottom line is he done it, mate. So, you know, I totally get what you're saying, because the abuse I used to get for, you know, basically talking logically on Allardyce's reign. I totally get what you're saying, mate. So
you've got a potential controversial one here from Nick Lane. He says, "Is there anyone you've interviewed that you thought would be great, but you've been disappointed?"
Not really, no, because we selected carefully who we wanted to interview. We didn't just pick anyone because we thought they were easy to approach or they'd be easy to sort of get over the line, so to speak. We carefully selected who we wanted to interview, and every single one of them was great in their own way. Was fantastic. I mean, at the time, I think when we interviewed Jack Collison, there was a lot that he's not really a controversial character anyway, but I think he was just on the cusp of going back to the club officially. So there was a lot that he couldn't talk about. We asked him to talk about the Avram Grant incidents and stuff like that, and he wasn't very comfortable talking about some of those things. So I wouldn't say there was any disappointing ones. No, they were all good in their own way. They were all really good.
Accent P says, "Who's the best guest you've been involved? Who's the best guest that's been involved on the radio show?"
Trevor Brooking, without a doubt. I don't think you can get much bigger than that. And obviously the launch of the very first show was with Sir Trev, and we were all like a bunch of girls, like myself, Dave, and X. Because at the end of the day, you've got this man sitting in front of you in his golf polo shirt and his shorts, just being completely blasé about it, and we're all like, "Oh my god, like Sir Trevor Brooking, the man, he's done it all for West Ham. We don't really need to go into that. We know what he means to West Ham, and that is by far I don't think you can get any bigger than that, Sir Trev. That was definitely the best one.
Andy Walsh is asking, who was the funniest guest
on the radio show?
He just says guest, or
in general. I'd say interview-wise, when Dave and myself done the interviews with Sex, Drugs and Carlton Cole, Mark Wald was really funny. If you haven't seen that one, watch that one. That one is really funny. Carlton Leach was really funny as well. He's a character. That was really funny. But on the radio show, I don't know, really. I don't think we really had a character like that on the radio show when I was there. But I'll stick with them two, Mark Wald and Carlton Leach. Those two were really funny. That was really good to be a part of that.
I've got a good question for you from Jazza. Says, would you rather have the first interview of a new manager or the last interview before he gets sacked?
I'm going to say the last interview before he gets sacked. Yeah, because there's going to be reasons for that, isn't there, leading up to his sacking. So obviously you're going to want to ask those juicy questions. So yeah, definitely the last one.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's not much you can ask a new manager, is there? What's your hope?
Yeah, how much are you looking to spend? 30 million this summer?
There's not much.
It's a difficult one. Yeah.
You could always write down the answers before you even ask the question, really, can't you? You can, though, can't you? They're all the same. No matter what the manager is, they're all the same. What do you think about the youth players? I'll take a look and hopefully we can get some into the first team.
Yeah, it's a bit mundane, isn't it?
Yeah, they're not going to turn around and go, "Oh, they're pretty crap," to be honest. I'm not going to be promoting any. I'm going to sell them all and I'm going to try and buy some 30-year-olds.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not going to happen. Joan says, really enjoying this interview. Great to hear from Kevin. What a brilliant raffle prize. How do you think we will do next season?
Again, that's a difficult question because it depends on a lot of factors. How much money we've got to spend, who we can bring in. Obviously, Newcastle have just been taken over as well, so they're going to be up there challenging now. We've got Wolves around us. Now, the Premier League is fast becoming a very, very difficult league to compete in. I'll be happy with 10th again. It is. Look, Pellegrini's had one season with us, and I think it's going to take him I'd say from now, a good 2 or 3 years to see where we're at under Pellegrini. Things can't change overnight. As much as we all want them to change overnight, we've got this manager that's come in that's won the Premier League. He's got a fantastic, managerial history with teams abroad, and he's on a big wage, and he spent a lot of money last season. The Premier League is the hardest league in the world. And, I would be happy with 10th again. I'd like to think we can do better than that, but realistically speaking, I'd be happy with 10th again, just to steady the ship a bit more.
Yeah, I agree with that. Actually, when I asked that question, and I was sort of counteracting it to say, would you take 10th again? So I think that's a fair
Yeah.
A realistic thing. Jazza says, how do you think Yarmolenko will do this season?
I'm hoping that he will hit the ground running for us, because I like the look of him, Yarmolenko. Again, he wasn't a player that I knew too much about at the time. I mean, I know he played for Dortmund, and he scored that screamer against Spurs in the Champions League. But he did look really good when he played for us, particularly against Everton away. And it was just a shame that obviously, his season got cut short quite early on with a bad injury. But I do like the look of him, so I hope that but again, it's difficult because Antonio, he's back to his best. Anderson, he's a fantastic player. So where does he fit in? But again, it's a good problem to have. It's a very good problem to have for West Ham. So okay. I'd like to think that he would challenge for a spot.
3 more questions for you, because I'm cautious that you're on an event today. Actually, you just sort of nipped out to do this call, so I don't want to keep you too long.
No, that's absolutely fine, mate. I've saved the time for it. It's fine.
It's eating your data as well, so I'm a bit cautious. But there's 3 more questions for you here. I'll get through these anyway. Gary Smithhurst, Arnautovic, keep or sell?
It's a head over heart question for me. That is. West Ham, we've become a forgiving bunch in recent years, but we don't forget. Now, I'm not the type of person to hold grudges, but I've really gone off of him because, once an offender, always an offender. That's what I say. So, is he going to do the same again next season if a big offer comes along? Throw his toys out of the pram. He's a fantastic player. He's not an out-and-out striker. Let's have it right. He does score goals for us, but he's not an out-and-out striker. And obviously, we saw that in certain games last season. With his positioning, etc. I won't go into that. But at the moment, I would keep until we can find a replacement, because, our strikers are being stripped down to the bare minimum at the moment. So that's quite worrying of who we can get in to replace these players that are going. So at the moment, I would keep.
Michael Leary, he says, long time no see, Kev. Is he your mate? You must be him.
Yeah, Michael. Yeah, me and Michael.
Yeah, This will explain his question then, possibly, because I did wonder why he pulled out this question, but he's obviously got a bit of inside information here. He says, keep up the good work, Kev. Let's put you on the spot. You can only ever enjoy one again. Who do you choose? West Ham or Tupac?
Oh, it's West Ham.
Is that your music? Is it? Yeah, your music.
I really like Tupac. Yeah, I'm really into Tupac. Yeah, he's I like all music, but Michael and I actually went on holiday with each other. Oh God, it's a long time ago. Now I was 18. I'm 35 this year, so it was a long time ago. And I had an MP3 player. They don't even exist anymore. I don't think. That's how long ago it was. And predominantly, I was playing Tupac music poolside. Like, this is why we was all in Tenerife on a lads' holiday, and that's what we had in common. So we know each other through a mutual friend. And obviously, he's still got that memory of when we was poolside when I was 18 years old listening to Tupac. So yeah, but West Ham, Michael, sorry mate, it doesn't even come into it. It's not even a question, to be honest.
Thomas says, which current player do you currently have a real soft spot for?
Mark Noble. All day long, Mark Noble, Mr. West Ham. We all know that he's not the best technically, but at the end of the day, he puts his heart and soul on the line for West Ham. He's proven it many, many, many times over the years, and I personally think a lot of the fan base will only appreciate him when he's no longer playing. I mean, a player like that is very hard to come by these days. Definitely Mark Noble, 100%.
Kev, before you go, could you just remind us of that fantastic prize you have kindly donated to the raffle, please?
Yeah, so, well, first of all, I've got one of these to give away. If you go on the website, sdccshop.com, you can pick what one you want, and obviously I'll have it sent out directly to you. And the other prize, the big one, is the 1986 retro shirt signed by 9 players, which is Billy Bonds, Frank McAvenny, Alan Devonshire, George Paris, Alan Dickens, Ray Stewart, Alvin Martin. The only ones that aren't on there is Phil Parkes, Tony Cottee, and Jeff Pike from the first team. They're the only ones that aren't on there.
Kev, fantastic. Thank you very much. If you just want to see more of Kev's upcoming videos, for Sex, Drugs, Carlton Cole on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Check out the Bill Garner video if you haven't already seen it. It's a very emotional one, to say the least. But Kev, keep up the good work. We'll look forward to working with you.
Thanks a lot, Gio. Yeah, you too, mate. Thank you very much for having me on.
Enjoy your event. Take care, Kev. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, mate. Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
You can now purchase a season ticket for the Hammers Chat boats for the 2019-20 season. Prices start from £60 and includes entry to all boats events that we may have, including cup games and friendlies at the London Stadium next season. Please get in touch via email at hammerschat@gmail.com or via Twitter, hammers_chat. All details are in the description below. Get in touch and we'll see you next season.